Good afternoon, people of the cardboard, and welcome back to Fun Deck. So we have a ban list. It's a ban list, and obviously I'm late to the game, so all the other YouTubers have their reactions out by now. So fun. This isn't going to be a blind ban list. I have read it, but I want to start by going over briefly where the format stands. Because if you're like me, you're kind of surprised that we had a ban list. Nothing's really been going on with Yu-Gi-Oh, or felt like it. And I think that's kind of the problem. For the past 6 months, the decks have been really dominated by Justice Hunters, right? Let's look at this is from YGYugiOhProDeck.com. They kind of have a breakdown of the current meta deck. So currently, Draco Tail is number one, but it's kind of closely fallen behind by Yummy. And then there's Mitsurugi in there, and then there's also K9, right? That's kind of been making up the best decks, at least as part of the engine. Additional cards that kind of need touched if they want to shake things up are Malice and then Mitsurugi. I think in general, it seems like Konami wants to promote some of the new stuff. Like none of the Phantom Revengers stuff has done anything. Nothing of the stuff coming from Burst Protocols particularly do anything, because I think they just did such a good job with Justice Hunters. They haven't quite met that power level. So I think they're going to use the ban list to kind of curb that. Right, bring those decks down to give some breathing room so that Cool Tune can maybe get time to shine. Maybe Enneacraft if people are terrible. And Hekahan, stuff like that. Just, hurt the meta decks at least somewhat so that way the secondary decks can come back. All right, so let's get into it. So, starting out with the big one, the one everyone cares about, the Forbiddens section. Now, we got Barry's Statue of the Torrent, and then jumping down, we also have Harpy's Featherstorm. These are kind of just the same Floodgate cards that Konami's been banning recently. And I think everyone's just excited about Harpy's Featherstorm. This should have been banned honestly, a year or two ago. The problem with it is that it's searchable off a thrust, and this is a hit to Yummy specifically, I think, because it's pretty easy for them to have a couple level ones they can just put into one of the Lyrilisc rank ones at the end of their turn. It's also good going to Zeus anyway, just if people would put in the extra anyway. And then you just end on that rank one, and then you can Featherstorm and just kind of turn skip your opponent. They're also going for White Binder. This is a big hit to Malice. I'm kind of surprised, but like I showed in the chart, Malice has seen some play, right? It is probably like the fourth or fifth best deck of the format, and I think they just really want to nip it in the bud. So getting rid of it, I mean, there's no point limiting it. But the big one, obviously, the cover card here, that has way too many samples on it. Like, how many times do you think people are actually going to try to remove a watermark? Like, this is way overkill, Konami. But anyway, Herald of the Ark, like this one's big. So this is both a hit to Yummy, because they would make this as like an Ember piece, or Mitsurugi, or obviously Yummy Mitsurugi, because they would bridge between them. This card has been kind of a bane of the format for a long time. There's been a lot of decks that have just like been able to promote ritual decks, specifically Mitsurugi, by sending to the grave, and it's a Floodgate and an Omnigate. It's just been too powerful. And they held it out, they limited it, I think, but they honestly, it just needed to be banned. I think this is a good hit, and I think this will hurt the end board of Yummy, because now their interruptions are like a field spell pop, a monster pop, and then a Book of Moon. And that's it, right? Everything else is just a tag out. There's not really too many more interruptions you can have. And this was the biggest one, the biggest problem, I think. So, yeah, the big ban list. I think Yummy took a solid hit from here, and obviously Malice did too. All right, moving on to the limited section. This one's pretty big. This seems to be where they've done the majority of their like targeted hits. So starting off, let's go look at the Draco Tail. So Draco Tail has Malulu Limited as well as Ketu. This is kind of following suit what the OCG did to hit Draco Tail. I think this is pretty severe, although that being said, I think the deck is still playable. It's just hurting the consistency. But all these cards, I mean, like, you can recycle them too. The deck is very good at that. But I think it does hurt. I think this isn't that big of an issue, though. I think Draco Tail, I mean, like I showed in the breakdown, Draco Tail is the current leading deck. And I think while this does challenge a little bit of your consistency, Malulu was just a name too. I think reducing those, like, it does hurt, but I think the deck is still playable. I think a lot of times, like, you see people are still trying to make a Draco Tail work in Genesis, where they have, like, everything's pointed and they just don't have room for stuff. They'll still throw in, like, a Malulu. I think this is fine. Now, I think looking at K9, so Jokul being limited in case for K9, this is a big one. And I think it's kind of a really clever hit. So kind of here's a K9 variant. What people, like, this was obviously a Vanquish Sold K9 here variant that did pretty well recently. What people forget is that Jokul, although it's sometimes being played as a 2 of if you don't have like 5s in it, it is a really important card to have 2 copies of in the deck. because you would typically go Noroi, summon Jokul, and then use Jokul to search, right? And then you could rank these up into your rank 5 and search as well. But the reason why that's important is that you could search this, use this to search another name, right? Maybe you would go with Mizuna, maybe you would go with the Lantern with this, it wouldn't matter. And then you use Ripper to go and search another copy of Jokul, and then you could summon the Jokul again. So this was like you would search and then summon. But now that they've limited this card, as well as limited the search card for this was like a huge starter for Canine strategies. Canine has kind of fallen by the wayside anyway. I think these are really big hits for the deck. Obviously, the deck is still playable. It's still very searchable. I mean, Noroi is like a one-card starter, but you just won't be able to consistently draw your combo pieces anymore. So I think this is really going to hurt a lot of these decks. And I think because of that, they're loosening some other things that we'll see once we get to the Unlimits. All right, moving on. Vanquished Soul, Holy Sue, or Holly Sue. This is a big one. So looking back to that same deck, Holly Sue was like the consistency card, your turn 0 play card. Like this is what broke the deck. And now that it's at 1, that's a big deal. That means if you like Ash Blossom this or you get rid of it, they're done for the turn or for the game, right? Like this card is like, this wasn't consistency piece as much as this was like the main type of like extender interaction. It's the one that summons an Vanquished Soul from deck. So hitting it is a big deal from Konami. I'm kind of surprised they did this, but I think it is a big hit. Okay. And then going Snatchy. Snatchy Limited is also a big deal into the anti-Yummy deck. I know they always, or anti-Yummy. I think they did a lot in the ban section hit Yummy. These other decks weren't really hit that hard. But Yummy Snatchy is like the key card. Now, if you just get rid of it, the deck flops, right? Because all their plays require it to really do anything. And a single form of removal from this is like really good. Like you just go and summon like Judgment or Strike or Warning it, right? Negate the summon and get rid of it. They can't bring it back. It's really hard for the deck. They'd have to like use a field spell to try to recycle it, I think, or something like that. And then last, we see Havakiri. This one is also big. I think this is the really only, I guess, direct hit to Mitsurugi that you see on the list, but that's a big one. This is the main starter, right? And now, again, if this card gets Ash, the turn's kind of done, right? Like, this is really what got the deck going. So here's a K9 variant with it. But yeah, like, you typically would play a pretty, like, small Mitsurugi package, and hitting it like, just breaks the deck down. Now, it is still searchable, right? If you want to do the pre-prep and play Mirror, you can still add Havakiri, but like I think this was a big one for it. So I think Mitsurugi, like they've been trying to, people have been kind of sick of it. This one's lasted longer than everything else. The other one, so all the Justice Hunters been around for about half a year. Mitsurugi's been here a year. And people I think are ready to see it dead. So these are like the big ones. I think this is a big hit. But let's get through everything and then I'll kind of summarize on where I think. The only semi-limit is Droll. Semi-limit is kind of the quarantine zone. See if it's ready to go limited or banned, or inversely ready to come off the list. Personally, I'm mixed on Droll being hit. I know a lot of people are happy, and like being the RB guy, like Droll killed RB. It's like can't play. I've seen people play like every single out they could, play Cross Out Designator and a Droll just so you can like hit it on that slim chance. But like Droll is a turn ender against a lot of decks. But I also kind of feel like it's one of those canary in the coal mine cards where like if Droll is good, it's kind of a sign that the format is bad, if that makes sense. So like when pure Mitsurugi was like going around, people were maining Droll, right? Because that was the only effective hand trap to really kill that deck. But like once it falls away, then this Droll moves to the side deck, right? Because Droll, it's a -1. It doesn't do anything, doesn't stop the search. It just says like, okay, after that search is done, if your deck needs to search 2 or 3 more times, it's dead in the water, right? So I think personally, I'm a little nervous. Like if Droll ever gets banned, which this is kind of suggesting it could go like even more into the list and get limited or banned, I would be nervous because then you start getting some of those like deep draw decks coming out, right? Like Droll, I heard the reason why they never have banned it is because like you can start getting really weird gimmicky FTK decks like Dark World coming up out of the woodwork, because it's like that's kind of the only hand trap that stops them. Like everything else, like most hand traps these days, like play the Molch Army is like, okay, cool, they'll get draws, but if they're planning to kill you or like block you out, it doesn't matter, right? The only other hand traps people play are Ash and maybe a Nib. So this is pretty scary. But overall, I think 2 is going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be classically like, oh, why do 2? This means I only draw it some of the time, not all the time. And so it's just going to be very frustrating on the games where you don't see the Droll, or it's going to be really frustrating being the opponent when they draw the Saki 2 of. But I mean, that's just Yu-Gi-Oh. All right, and then lastly, we have the Unlimits. This is very weird, because they've actually gone and done a weird, like, let's start with the cover card, Vanquish Soul stuff. So they brought back Raisin and they brought back Sacred Soul. This is super duper odd. So they basically just decided, you know what? Holly Suit, that was a problem card. Let's bring back Ryzen. Let's bring back Sacred Soul, and that will bring the deck back. I think it does. I think it changes the strategy. I think Vanquish Soul is actually came out ahead of all the things that were on this list. Vanquish Soul, I think, is the best. Just because Ryzen was a huge hit. It was a huge consistent thing. You would hit this with Ash, and then the turn would like kind of die. Now they kind of swapped it, the Holly Suit being the problem card. They cut down on the turn 0 plays, which is fine. Like, that's pretty good. But the deck, like, it doesn't matter. You negate this one thing, okay, they'll go Rise and continue to pop off. But it's scary. I guess the argument for it is that, no one was really worried about Vanquish Soul before Holly Sue came. Like, a little bit, but not much. All right, other cards. So we have Black Dragon and White Dragon coming back, and then Dark Refer. So like Chaos stuff got a huge bump here. That's pretty cool. I mean, they were already, I think, at like 2. No one was really playing them, but now that you have 3, this is like, they're really trying to promote Dragon Link. And that's just because Burst Protocol has Dragon Link cards. They have a lot of new support coming out, and then additional support coming out, and Blazing Dominion, obviously, with the... no, actually, sorry, that's the Overframe collection. That one, they have the Rocket card that everyone's talking about being a circular and like a +3 or 4. It's like crazy. So once that comes out, I think Dragon Link could be explored, but right now it's still, like, this is okay. And then Dryden. Dryden's okay. This one, I mean... the difference between having like 1 Dryden and 3 is very minimal. So I think that's just fine. It's okay. I think if they were going to bring back Broad Bull, or this was like Barrage that was coming back, this would be different, but I think this is perfectly fine. All right, and then the last archetypal card is Crystron Inclusion. I think because they hit K9, they're like, okay, Crystron, you can come back. You weren't really the problem. They didn't want to hit the Justin Hunter stuff yet, because they were still trying to make money. Now that that has dried up, they can actually bring it back. So this is huge. I was a Crystron player. I like the deck a lot. So I think having inclusion back to 3 really does make a difference for Crystron. I think it's interesting to explore in RB. There's not a whole lot of overlap, but you can make it work. And then the new train stuff that's coming out, I think that's coming out Burst Protocol. It might be Blazing Dominion, actually. I think it could be Blazing Dominion. That stuff is pretty cool, too. So I think there are some methods of combining that with Crystron. But then last 2, they have 2 generic cards, Change of Heart and Snatch Steal. Kind of the same thing. Change of Heart, it is fine. I mean, you were already searching out a Thrust. I don't think people are playing it on 3 copies now. Snatch Steal's a little curious because theoretically, if you wanted to play it with Power Tool Dragon, right, maybe do like a Revolution Synchron Engine to search it, it's now searchable, right? And Snatch Steal's pretty cool. I think this could also be a buff because if I remember correctly, Mason Huertos were getting the new, oh lordy, what's that called? The deck of like level 3 equip deck. I'm blanking on the name. And not my Akashi, but something like that. Where it's all about equip spells and they can search equip spells. So like this might be for that, but I mean Snatch Steal was already like limited, I think, so it was fine to get a copy too. So anyway, broadly speaking, winners and losers. I think they really did try to kneecap the Justice Hunter decks. I think Draco Tail is probably still in a pretty good position. I think they're just a little more susceptible. People are going to probably throw that Ash down on Ketu more than they would before. Maybe just like having fewer names could be an issue. They might need to change ratio, play a couple of increase number, because you do need Draco Tail names oftentimes. But I don't think this is going to be like a deal breaker. I think the deck is still very good, can still recycle their stuff, and there's not too many decks that can really break their cycle easily. I think Yummy probably was hit the hardest. One Snatchy and then losing access to Arclight, like that's big. And I think obviously Malice was hit, but I'm not really like Malice, I don't care about. And then Mitsurugi, which was really being splashed with Yummy. I think that like the one Habakiri, it's like it is pretty big of a hit. I think it won't change a whole lot. I think people would be more willing to play pre-pep than they were before, but I think this is kind of a big deal. I think they're pretty bad, and I think K9 is going to be a very odd spot because I think what they wanted to do is let the deck kind of play more as a pure variant without Jokul, without trying to splash into other like rank 5 strategies or level 5 strategies. But I think the question is with these huge consistent hits, if it's going to be at all playable. But anyway, that's my opinions. That's my feelings on the ban list. Obviously, RB is going to continue to be the tier -1 super threat it currently is. But I'm not sure about these other decks. I don't think they can compete with RB. But that's all I got for you today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What decks you think you're excited to explore. It didn't feel like they really unlimited a whole lot of stuff to, really introduce new things as much as like it was just to hurt the existing stuff. But maybe that's what the format needed. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Fun deck, signing out. Bye.